How to Make a Killing was Regal's Monday mystery movie on February 16th, and I'll be honest, I went in already a little hesitant. The premise just isn't really my thing. The story follows a man who murders everyone ahead of him in the inheritance line so he can end up with everything. That kind of predatory climb-to-the-top setup is just not something I usually connect with, and this film was no exception. Performance-wise, everyone did what they needed to do. Glen Powell is fine in the role, though I have to admit, when he does that grin, it just makes every character he plays feel like a smug jerk. I know that's not his fault, but it definitely affects how I respond to the character. And in this case, the character is already a pretty awful person, so that didn't help. Honestly, most of the characters in this movie are unlikable. Even the main character's fiancé made a bad early impression, and there really isn't anyone to emotionally latch onto. When a story gives me a protagonist who's that morally repellent, it's hard for me to stay invested, no matter how well the plot is constructed. And speaking of the plot, the legal system in this movie moves at lightning speed. Trials and execution dates are carried out and scheduled insanely fast, inheritances transfer almost instantly, important legal paperwork gets signed with no witnesses or notary. Everything just happens way too conveniently. I know it's done to serve the plot, but even within that framework, it felt like a stretch. The ending does make sense for the story and for who this character is. It's fitting. But just because something is narratively appropriate doesn't mean it's satisfying to watch. So overall, this one just wasn't for me. If you enjoy very dark, morally bleak black comedies and don't mind suspending disbelief about how quickly everything works legally, you might get more out of it than I did. But personally, it's just not something I'd revisit. How to Make a Killing is currently playing in theaters nationwide.